All right, in this lecture, I'm going to start talking about Microsoft Outlook, what it's used for, how to get to it, and a few key features or functions you need to know how to do. The first thing I want to talk about is exactly what is Microsoft Outlook. Microsoft Outlook is the email application for Microsoft. Just as you might have Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail. Well, Microsoft has Outlook. And for your college purposes, you're going to be using Microsoft Outlook to communicate with me as well as all of your other instructors and administrators. I want to talk about a couple of different ways that you can get to Outlook. The first way is probably the way that you're going to be using throughout the semester and throughout your career at Bryant Stratton, and that's going through Blackboard. When you log into Blackboard using your B account and your password, it'll take you to the main screen. Now, you don't have to go into any of your courses directly. All you have to do is go up to the top of the screen and select email, and that'll take you to Outlook. Now, I've been in Outlook earlier today, so it didn't ask me for any of my login credentials, but you will be expected to enter your B or your email address, which may have your B number in it, as well as your password. So that's one way to get to it. The other way, if you're not logged into Blackboard, you just go into any browser. Right now, I'm using Microsoft Edge and just type OneDrive. And this is kind of similar to how we got into OneDrive in the previous lecture that I recorded. Now, you have two different sign in buttons. It doesn't matter which one you select, it's going to take you to the sign in screen. And this is where you enter your Brian and Stratton email address. So I'm going to enter mine. And it should ask me for a password. Well, it may not ask for a password because I recently logged into this as well. So you would normally have to enter your email address as well as your password, and then it'll do two-factor authentication where either you'll receive a phone call with asking you to select a certain button to get logged in, or you will receive a text message. So once you get into this, I'm going to close out of the Outlook and just go straight using the OneDrive screen. And it's the same thing as if you went through the email through Blackboard, but you would have to go into the app launcher and then you select Outlook. So it'll take you back to the same screen as if you logged into it using Blackboard. And if you ever want to maneuver around different Microsoft apps, you just click on the app launcher. You can close that app launcher by clicking it again. All right, so we took care of what Outlook was or what it is and how to access it again through Blackboard, and the second way is through OneDrive.com. Next thing I'm going to do is create a folder. Now, I create folders by right mouse clicking on folder and selecting create folder. And I'm just going to create one specifically for this lecture or this presentation. All right, so once you do that, and I'm going to refresh the screen. All right. All right, so it moved it all the way down to the bottom, but I mean, it may have put it where, oh shoot, I put it in the wrong folder. We don't want it in any of the folders. I put it in there, but we know it's here. Um, so that's creating a folder. The next thing you want to do, you can create emails, and to create an email, all you need to do is just click on new message, and this is where you open up your new message. Now, the two is who you're sending it to. You can carbon copy people, meaning kind of like sending out a group email to specific people, the main people that you want or you expect a response from would go into the two, and then anybody else that you want to see what's going on, you would put them in the carbon copy or the CC. Now you can put a BCC, which stands for blind carbon copy, meaning the people that are listed in the CC and the two field, they won't know who's in the BCC. So if you want to just be secretive about who else is seeing it, maybe another instructor or your boss or someone else, you don't want the other people to see it, you would put them in the BCC. The next thing is the add a subject. Now, this is the subject line. This is very important. When you're sending emails, you want to make sure that your subject line is descriptive. It doesn't have to be long. It could be one word, or it could be, I wouldn't go over 5 or 6 words in the subject line. But for this class, I always like to tell my students to make sure that whatever the subject line is, they put the class number in. So for this class, it's INF124. You put that in there, and then you would put in test. Whatever the email is about. So this is just a test message that I want to send. And then again, I'm gonna put my name into the two. I also put my name. I've never done this before. And then I'm gonna also put my name here as well. I'm gonna send it. I'll probably get. You can schedule when you want to send it out. I want to send it out now, so I'm gonna hit send. If I wanted to schedule a different time, you hit send later. But I'm sending it out now. All right. Oh, it just came in. All right, so I did get one. So you see, I have some in the two, but then I also have the carbon copy, but I don't see that blind carbon copy. And that's because, again, that's if you want to be, if you don't want others to know who else is seeing this, you can put them in the blind carbon copy. So the draft. Okay, so the draft. That's another thing as far as drafts. So say you want to start typing a new message. All right, so INFT124 test message for draft. And you get to a point where you have to, you need some more information. You can just go out of there and it adds it as a draft automatically. So you see it just happened right here, 7:45 p.m., 7:45 p.m. And you click on it, then you can start typing whatever else you wanted to put in here. And then when you're ready to send it off, send it off. And if I wanted to send it off, I could send it off. And you see it went away from the draft because it was sent. It was emailed. If I wanted to reply, I would select reply here, or I could select reply here. If I wanted to forward this message, I can forward it on. So let's do a reply. And I'm going to reply back to myself. If there were more people in there, and I'll go over that. So reply to the sender only. So this only goes back to whoever's in the to field. If I wanted to go into the message again, so let me see here. So if I wanted to reply to everybody, including who's in the to field and who's in the carbon copy, again, the blind carbon copy won't show up. But if I wanted to reply to everybody, I would select reply to all here, or reply to all down here. So I'm going to click on reply to all down here. And test message, reply to all, send. So I just sent it to myself. All right. All right. And let's go in here and say I wanted to forward, meaning I wanted to send to someone who's not listed in the to field or in the carbon copy. I can do that as well by clicking on the forward. And I can click send. So I sent it. And let's say I want to start typing. So I want to start a reply, but then I get to a point where maybe I don't want to send it out. So I can click on discard, and this is going to discard the email. Are you sure you want to discard this draft? Yes. Okay. So it got rid of the draft, is no longer there. So another feature or function that you may use is the attach feature. And before I get to the attach, I want to let you know that you can change the font size, the font color, pretty much the same thing that you can do in Microsoft Word with the fonts. You can do it in Outlook. But let's say I wanted to have an attachment. So I'm going to put INFT. I'm going to make sure that my subject line is very descriptive. Attachment. And there's a couple of different ways. I generally like to use the attach function. You can also drag those whatever you want to attach into the email. See if I got any pictures on here. Probably don't. Oh, I have a video project, so I can select that. How do you want to share it? Oh, it's too large. Let me send a smaller file. So I'm going to attach a smaller file. Do so fall, and let's just send one of these. And if I didn't want this attachment, I can also remove it if I wanted to, but I'm going to keep it in here, and I'm going to click send. So I have the attachment. The attachment shows up here. It gives me the option to edit in the browser, meaning Microsoft Edge, or I can edit it in the actual PowerPoint desktop app, or I can save it to OneDrive, or I can download it to the computer, or I can just preview it. It gives me so many options. Whichever one you want to use, you could use it from there. If I wanted to download it to my computer, I would click download, and I can select open file location to see exactly where it downloaded it. So it downloaded it into my downloads folder. Let's see, edit in browser. So this is editing it using OneDrive. And the other option is edit using the PowerPoint desktop app. So it's going to open up PowerPoint on my desktop or on my laptop. All right. So the next good thing that's pretty useful in Outlook is the calendar feature. Now, if you receive any type of skills assistance invites from me, those will show up in here because I would use Outlook to create the entry or the event. I would click new event, and you can put anything in here. If it's a meeting and you want to use Teams, you always want to make sure you select Teams here so that they receive a Teams link. You set the time that you want it to start. If it's something that you want a certain time to end, you select the ending time. If it's a reoccurring event, you you can select how often you want it to happen, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, or a custom. Um, I'm just going to put INFT124 uh, recording test. I'm going to make it so that it's, if I don't like the half an hour, so I can go in, select here the time, change the time by typing it in, and I'm going to make it a Teams meeting. I don't have any invitees, but if you had someone you wanted to send it to, you can put their email address in there. And I'm going to save. So you see in my calendar that there's an event in here now. It wasn't one before, but now there is. And if I wanted to see the details of that calendar entry, I just click on it. And if I wanted to see it a little bit further, I double click on it and I have my Teams meeting link. I have a reminder to remind me 15 minutes before. You can change all of that if you like to. That's up to you. I usually like 15 minutes before the meeting. Some people don't like to get reminded, but I would recommend set up a reminder. The next thing is the email function in Outlook. So if you get to a point, you don't want to have a bunch of emails that you don't need anymore. So I can just delete the ones I don't want. So I'll delete that one, and you see it says delete. I can undo it if I wanted to, but I'm going to delete and delete, and it puts it in the deleted items folder. So you see there are the two that I deleted. If I wanted to move email to a specific folder, there's a couple ways I could do that. I can right mouse click on the email, move, and select the email I want to move. I can click it, select it, go up here, select move to, select the folder I want to move it to, or I can drag it. So you see it's in there. I can undo well, I can't undo that, but I can move it back out by selecting it and moving it to whatever folder I want to move it to. And if the folder's not listed, if it's not listed in the most recent folders that you use, you just select move to a folder or move to a different folder. And I'm going to put it back in the inbox. And I go back into my inbox and I see that that email message is there again. And I'm going to move it a different way this time. So move to by, I selected it, selected move to INFT124, and it should be in there. So there it is. So a few email etiquettes that I wanted to mention. I already mentioned the subject line. Another thing is for all of your classes that you have here at Bryan and Stratton, you want to make sure that you're using your Bryan and Stratton email address. I don't open up any outside or external emails. If it's not sent from your Bryan and Stratton email address, I'll just delete the message without reading it because you're paying for this technology. You're paying for the email address, so you have to use it. And also, if it's an external email, I don't trust it as much because it's not going through Bryan and Stratton's email security. So always make sure for all of your classes here at Bryan and Stratton, when you're emailing your instructors, including myself, you always want to make sure that you're using your Bryan and Stratton email address. The third thing is when you're replying. If you're replying to an email, make sure that whatever you're replying to is in the subject line. So if you've sent me a journal entry for a specific date, I'm expecting anything that's in that email thread to be related to that journal entry. I'm not expecting an email about an assignment unless it's in that journal entry. So I've had a few students send me emails replying to journal entries. After I reply to your journal entry, you'll reply with another question. I've been replying back that you need to create a new email with the descriptive subject line. I'm just trying to get you into the habit of having a descriptive subject line, and so that it makes it a lot easier when it comes time if you want to move certain emails to certain folders. It's always easier when the subject line matches what the email is about. So that's pretty much all I wanted to discuss for Outlook. We'll talk a little bit more about it in class throughout the week. And you can always feel free to email me using your Brian and Stratton email address and with the descriptive subject line, any questions that you might have.